Coastal Housing Group came into being in 2008, so it was the merger of two housing associations to form the group. We're about 5,500 units, which is a reasonable size in Wales. We've still got a big building development programme, and we're specialists in urban regeneration as well, which means we do a lot of commercial build. We've got retail property as well as social housing, and we do quite a lot of our social housing for people in work as well as people out of work as part of that scheme. We first heard about Housing Partners because a letter landed on my desk telling us that we've come in the top 10 in the big tenant survey. And like a lot of these letters, I was half sort of looking at it as a piece of marketing, and it was halfway on its way into the bin. I kind of picked it up and looked at it again and thought, well, actually it'd be quite interesting to learn a bit more about the survey and how we'd done. And so some of the Housing Partners team came in to visit us, and obviously they took that as an opportunity to start talking to us about the product as well. And actually it seemed to meet a lot of the particular challenges that we were having at the time. Well, what we've been doing for the last year, bearing in mind the challenges particularly around universal credit and direct payment, is trying to move to a more proactive service that supports our tenants better. So that's about understanding their personal circumstances a lot more than we do now. So we'd already learned that people were quite open with us about a lot of things, but not actually their finances. And that even when they didn't necessarily have a good grasp of the issues themselves. So one of the things we were grappling with was how do we better understand the issues that people have so that we can go in and support them at the right time to manage their money. Clearly this was something that this product absolutely, it hit us at a very good point in time in terms of the work we were trying to progress for our tenants. Well, I think what we were looking at, so we saw, I think, the kind of test version of what the new product was going to be. So obviously, because we're not using it yet, it's quite hard to get a sense of what's out there in the market now and what the new version will be. So we were looking at very well-designed screens, bringing in, sucking up our existing data, picking up the data that's out there about tenants and their financial circumstances, but a lot more in terms of potential to start to move, to link in with Rightmove data, understanding more about the area, the property, and a lot of other things that we saw in the demo that we're not using yet. So actually we're going to get a better sense of when we start to use the product live. I think one of the things that we liked was it was clearly a dynamic relationship, both in terms of the fact that it wasn't just about here's a product and Housing Partners disappear. It was actually around they were interested in our input about how we could further develop the product. And the way that we use IT up to now has been very much working with smaller suppliers who will niche their product to support the way we work. So that seemed to be a really good fit. And I think what we're excited about is as we start using it and there's maybe bits that we think we need that aren't there, there seems to be every opportunity to put those in as well as we progress with the relationship. I think the other thing was that clearly there's a whole issue around financial equity in terms of social tenants and the way people on rent are placed in the market compared with people who pay a mortgage. So for us, we've got quite a high proportion of working tenants, and we know that those are some of the people in the highest poverty. So that something around the government rhetoric about getting people back into work is actually placing them in higher financial vulnerability than they were before. So two advantages to this product really, and actually hopefully they will get a better credit rating. Even when I came into work this morning, there was a Bright House van outside the flats at the back of this scheme, and I'm thinking that's already putting one of my tenants into financial difficulty. So I would hope that as a result of this we'll see less of that happening, and actually we'll be a better place to support those people as well, because we'll have complementary information and can have better conversations with them. For us as a business over the last year, because we've been turning our whole housing management system around really from being a reactive to a proactive service, we don't yet know where that's going to end up in terms of where we need to spend most of our time, and we don't yet have all the data to understand what are the most important bits of information that we need to know. So we see it very much as an evolving piece of work, and I think the excitement is that we've got the kind of right culture and the right structure to give the right service. The missing bit up to now has been the data, so I think we'll be in a very much better place in a year's time having access to this product. We're only the second association to sign up to this product in Wales, and it's not necessarily well understood, particularly by some of the politicians out there. When you start talking about Experian and tenants' credit ratings, I think they've got quite a paternalistic attitude towards the sort of relationship we should have with people. This is actually about supporting them to support themselves, so giving people who have got a good credit rating the opportunity to access it. It's about being realistic that some people who can access credit, actually that's putting them in a much more vulnerable situation than maybe they shouldn't, and a very small minority of people end up with a lower credit rating, and typically that will be about 7% of our tenants. That's not actually a bad thing. And also it's about us using that information to support people. We understand that all the people who are in our homes are almost certainly quite financially vulnerable. It's not about using that data against them, it's about using that data so that we can niche our services and use our resources at the right point to deliver the right service when people need it most.